Thank you. Time. Understanding context is vital to understanding something's potential. Today, y'all are going to be enjoying a coffee that's been meticulously processed, small batch roasted, and diversely prepared to showcase all of its context and all of its potential. In front of you, there are menus. They reiterate flavor notes, recipes, and ingredients. They're designed to be taken back with you to calibration. And head judge, that water's for you. This is a pink Bourbon, courtesy of Wilton Benitez from Granja Paricio 92. Sits 1,900 meters above sea level at the southernmost convergence point of three bountiful and domineering mountain ranges in Western Colombia. At this altitude, the volatile shifts in temperature from day to night ensure a slow to ripen cherry. That slow maceration gives us the ultimate development in our sugars in our cherry. With such an idealistic climate to grow coffee, you'd think that coffee had been growing here all this time. But in reality, coffee wasn't brought to this part of the world until around 400 years ago, when French missionaries and Spanish conquerors showed up to the region with their creature comforts like coffee and smallpox to claim the land that was already inhabited by innovative indigenous people that had developed farming techniques that out-optimized what any European was able to achieve up until that point. Now, pink Bourbon, a direct relative of the variety that was smuggled into South America, is incredibly difficult to cultivate, but it's well worth its required expertise with its tropical acidity, balance, and pronounced florals. Now, Wilton, our producer, began his journey with this coffee after creating an incredibly efficient green coffee drying machine that led him to think about the greater context that goes into having a coffee so expertly dried in the first place. In his eyes, drying is what validates the sensorial quality of a coffee. So why wouldn't he try his hand at a few processing methods or two, or cultivate the most exciting varieties? This coffee goes through two 36-hour fermentations, where it's naturally separated from the mucilage, gains complexity, and a vibrant acidity. The yeast that's introduced during this process increases magnesium, boosting the florals of our coffee. After fermentation, our coffee is dried in Wilton's patented heatless drying machine that uses high pressure and rapid airflow to lock in its sensorial quality. Everything you're going to taste in this espresso is a direct reflection of its context. It's elegant, mature, and well balanced. It's got a medium acidity, medium bitterness, and medium sweetness. Of course, that leads us to a true medium weight, a round texture, and a lingering finish. That developed sweetness is going to come through as sweet pepper. That vibrant acidity as fresh grapefruit juice. and those pronounced florals as rooibos tea. Got some little racetrack mugs in front of you. Those are for your used spoons. As I set these in front of you, I just ask that you stir in a circle, count to 10, and enjoy. There, please. Enjoy. Yeah.
Make some noise for those bevies!
Now, before our coffee is fermented, it goes through what's called a thermoshock process, where directly after picking, our coffee is submerged in 90 degrees Celsius water for 30 seconds before being plunged into cold water. This intensifies the development of our coffee, giving it an incredible backbone to go up against milk. I'm using a 1-to-3 ratio of milk, has a 6% milk fat content that I then freeze distilled to about 50% of its original weight. That freeze distillation is going to transform the proteins of our milk to simple sugars, transforming the notes of our espresso to their sweetest expression. In this milk drink, I want you to look for notes of warm baked banana bread, signaled by the transformation of our fruit becoming baked, as well as our floral becoming nutty, and then finished with butterscotch. The texture is reminiscent of nougat, creamy, fluffy, but still dense. Yeah, you're welcome. So again, you're looking for warm baked fruit like bananas and banana bread. Those nutty notes like walnuts in banana bread and butterscotch. Thank you.
Make some noise for some milk and espresso!
Inspired by Wilton's journey, I wanted to approach the signature drink by mimicking his processes that he uses in the coffee to highlight the core aspects that make this coffee so special. So we begin with 80 grams of our pink bourbon. It's been chilled for ultimate clarity of flavor, to which I will be adding 20 grams of what I'm calling a kiwi difficult syrup because it's not simple. It's made by taking green kiwis with the skins on, vacuum macerating them in a fourth of their weight in cane sugar, and then sous videing that at 90 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. This uses the same principles as our thermoshock method in our coffee does, extracting every last juice. And then when combined with the grapefruit note of our coffee, gives us a new note of cantaloupe. Then, inspired by the double fermentation that our coffee goes through, I have 2 fermented ingredients. I have 7 grams of a fermented tomato water and 15 grams of kefir. Not only do they mimic the processing method that our coffee experiences, but they're going to enhance the acidic experience of our signature beverage, going from lingering and citric in our espresso to tangy and fresh in our signature beverage. Tomatoes, a fruit that's indigenous to South America, growing in those bountiful, domineering hills before coffee ever was, have a bright, airy, fresh take on acidity. And when they're fermented, they take on that acidity as its body. Its saline base is going to complement the sweetness of our kiwis and our espresso. It's made by taking 600 grams of tomatoes, parking it in a dark, somewhere nice and dark, for 4 days with a 5% salt solution. That reserved liquid, when combined with the sweet pepper note of our espresso, is going to give us a new note of celery juice in our signature beverage. And then, of course, kefir, a fermented milk beverage. I did not make it. I bought it at the store. I tried my hand, but it's difficult. It's a fermented milk beverage that relies on a balance of lactic acid, yeasts, and grains to obtain its creamy body. It is reminiscent of our milk course, but in this application, when combined with the rooibos note of our espresso, is going to give us chamoy, a sweet, savory, sour, fermented fruit paste. I'm charging this with nitro for efficient emulsification as well as texture. It's going to give us a plush, juicy, and silky body. And then lastly, I'm going to be finishing this with an aromatic foam made of green bananas. I took whole green bananas with the stems, peels, all of it, and then vacuum steep that with water and glycerin at a 1:5 ratio. The foam is made by adding 1% soy lecithin and any modern means of innovation to create bubbles. This is a fish bubbler that I got from the outdoor store at $7. So green bananas represent the ultimate potential for sweetness. They're earthy, floral, snappy, green. In this application, they serve to remind us of the climate, the earth, the sky, everything that contributes to flavor context in this coffee beyond Wilton or my team's manipulation. On the aroma, you're going to get honeydew, which will perfectly set you up for that fresh cantaloupe on your first sip. I ask that you sip from the non-foamy side and take a good whiff right before each sip. Please enjoy. And again, you're looking for chamoy, celery juice, and cantaloupe. It was a pleasure to serve y'all this evening. I'm used to working nights. Enjoy. Of course. Time.
One more time, Becky Reeves, Creature Coffee, Austin, Texas.